Well, howdy. Hi, everyone. Hello. I don't know why, like, going into this, I was like, what's there to be nervous about? You know, it's you are presenting yourself out to the world. You know, you got this nice little fancy presentation made entirely by people with incredible talent. You have nothing to worry about. Yeah, here I am, holding back the vomit. Hello, it's nice to meet you all. My name is Jake. I am a little child of the forest, you could say. As in, I just grew up in a forest, basically. I currently work. I currently work for a little onsen that that is out here in the mountainside near the forest, you see. And that is my incredibly deep lore that I have come to provide for you. For this stream, I'm not going to be playing any games today. I just want to kind of introduce myself and say hi to everyone that decided to show up and who I'm eternally grateful for, as well as credit everyone who is owed credit. So thank you everyone for coming. It's a pleasure to meet you all. And I hope everything looks and sounds not bad. Oh man. And thank you, Zexel. Excuse me, mispronounced that. Zelical. I did see that scammer that came in like frame one. That was crazy. That guy came in instantly, trying to get some. I'm guessing it was just a bot or something, probably scanning for tags. That was hilarious though. I was dying with my mic muted. That was like the first message, and then you hit him with the KYS. Appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you for the follow, Harukagi, who is my wonderful creator and parent, who I'm about to get into right now, actually, assuming I've set this up correctly. Yes. So first thing I want to get out right in front and center is the people who I owe who I am to. This live 2D and rig was made by at Harukagi, who was a genuine saint to work with. I just want to get that right out of the gate. This person was such a sweetheart. Every single thing they sent me, every single piece of advice and help that they gave me when designing this model was just so good. They turned out so amazing. I think I'm quite adorable. And it came out exactly better than I ever could have imagined. And an amazing time frame too. So everyone get a little golf clap for the greatest parent of the year, Harukagi. Thank you again. I believe they're in the chat. Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you for this. Again, I've said thank you so many times in the Discord, but thank you again. You're incredible. I owe this all to you. I do also owe the background art. I want to give a special shout out though to I always forget how to pronounce her name. Zavoa, I think. She is also a VTuber, in fact, I believe nowadays. And she made this background art for me like a long time ago. You can see it in some of my older videos on my YouTube, I think. But I've always loved it. I want to like show it off again real quick, actually. Here, let me get out of the way. This is the little onsen that my character works in, streams from. It is so cool. I love this art so much. And they are the creator of it. So thank you very much to both of you. You are incredibly talented. Everyone, please go give them a follow and shower them with love. They are amazing. So yeah, now that we've covered that, I guess I'll introduce you a little bit about me and what you can expect to kind of see from the kind of stuff I want to output and the kind of other stuff I want to be able to do as a streamer, as a VTuber, as an entertainer is what I meant to say, and most importantly, as a creator of content. So let's learn a little bit about moi. So, as I mentioned before, the lore here is that I'm a child of the forest who one day, while working at the onsen, and definitely not just lazing around, I was browsing the mountainside and found this helmet on top of my head. This helmet seems to have mystical powers. Ooh. It seems to have some attachment to my emotions, which I will be showing off very soon. But as for me, myself, I don't really have much unique to say about me, honestly. I'm just I'm a bit of a cringe lord. I'm a bit of a gamer. Exactly. I'm very small. I have terrible eyes. It'd probably be improved if I moved my hair out of the way, but the aesthetic is disappearing then, and I don't want that. I was born on June 17th, 1996. That's pretty young for forest children, I'll have you know. I definitely don't feel like an aging, decrepit fossil every single day. My height is small. Again, for a child of the forest, not too small. Actually, it's still pretty small, but, you know, whatever. I'm cute. My blood type, I don't know. This is real lore. I really don't know my blood type to this day. I'm pretty sure I've been told it at least once by a doctor before, but I just don't know it. And I've asked my parents, both mythical and real, about my blood type. I just genuinely don't know it. But yeah, now that I kind of brought up the subject of the helmet, though, the greatest thing I own, the coolest thing I own, I kind of want to show it off a little bit. So we're actually going to walk out, follow me, children, into the forest, and we're going to show off my helmet and all of its cool little features. So watch this. Behold, the textureless forest. So this, if you want to take any like screenshots, I know this is a gimmick really from more like popular debuts like Hololive and stuff like that. But if you do want to see anything cute and you just want to save it, this would be a perfect template for you to do that. That's the beauty of the textureless forest. It's very advantageous in that regard. So I want to show you off all the cool things I can do. So firstly, as for things not relating to the helmet, I can turn my cheeks on and off. I can, if I remember correctly, this button makes my mouth bigger and smaller. It's a nice little detail. Sometimes if you're feeling extra big. This is a bit harder to see because honestly, my cheeks are already kind of perpetually puffed because I have rosy kind of like, I just have a sharp, well, it doesn't really look like it now, but I have a sharp face, believe me. So my cheeks always kind of look puffed, but I can puff my cheeks. Hope. I can also move my mouth up and down if I remember. Yeah. And I have some expressions of shock. This is me when I see your DMs. This is me when I see the, if I remember correctly, is it this one? The other DMs. Oh, those are the good, that's the good stuff. Gotta love those DMs. But the coolest thing about my little prized possession here is that the helmet seems to react to my emotions. For example, if I were to get really angry, the flame changes color and enlarges. But if I were to get really sad, like so, it diminishes and becomes a little faint blue color. It's kind of cool, right? I love how this flame works. There's other ones too, like this one is kind of like a shame or like a disgusted, or like, yeah, but mostly shame. This is my shamed look. But even better is that you can actually combine emotions. So what if I'm shamed, but also feeling a little peeved? Bam! Look at that. It's pretty cool, right? I love this helmet. It's freaking sweet, as one Mr. Griffin would say. I adore this thing so much. I also have some other little tricks I can do. I can put a little pep in my step. I have I can get sad if I want to, of course. Though it actually, lore about me as well. I'm actually really bad at frowning. I know it is like objectively harder to do compared to smiling, but like I'm really bad at frowning. Like it's like I don't know why. Like in real life, I mean, like I don't know. Like even when I'm like actually genuinely really upset, I find it hard to frown, which I guess is a nice trait to have. I'm certainly not against that trait. Oh, I can also jump up and down. Wow. If I remember correctly, there's one other thing I'm forgetting. Oh, yes. I can also... Eh? I can do a bunch of stuff like that. Oh, man. So yeah, that's the basic gist of it. The lore is that the helmet reacts to my emotions. And the flame, no matter how much I try, can't really seem to put it out. So working at a place consisting mostly of water doesn't seem to be a problem. Now, as for stuff not relating to the lore of one Jake D. Jake of Clan Jake, just Jake is fine, by the way. We can learn more about my specific interests. So, you'll see what the GOAT section is here in a second. We're going to play a little game with that. But as for like some quick tidbits on stuff I like and stuff I don't like, for shows, and this is a kind of really random arrangement of shows that I have here. There's obviously a lot of shows that I really watch, but I just went through like the top ones I could think of off of the, top of my head that I'm like, yeah, I'll watch that like anytime. And when we talk about another subject, which is related to my GOATs section, that will also be something where it's just like, these are ones I'm willing to engage with at any point in my life. So for shows, Cowboy Bebop, I mean, it's hard to, I know a lot of people say it's overrated, and I'll have to say, oh, you're just like, obviously that's your favorite. You're a freaking Westerner that grew up on Toonami and stuff like that. You like nearly 30-year-old fossil, whatever. Okay, it's still the GOAT. It's still the GOAT. I cannot think of a single other show where like I just watch a single episode and just start bawling, bro. Like the freaking episode where Spike gets a apprentice, man. The ending of that still makes me just bawl every single time, and I have no shame in admitting that. I love that show so much. It's so good. Spike can eat me though. He's a jerk. He did poor. Oh my gosh. I won't get into spoilers, but if you haven't watched it, I know it's like a bit overrated or whatever. If anything's overrated if you're 11 out of 10, all right? That's just how it works. Speaking of 11 out of 10s, Porco Rosso. I had a hard time picking between all the Ghibli films. Again, this is another like Westerner normal friend thing. But whatever. Out of all the Ghibli films I've watched, Porco Rosso is easily, or Porco Rosso. I'm trying to pronounce it right. Did I write Porco Rosso? I wrote Porco Rosso. Anyway, Porco Rosso, the film about a pig in what is supposed to be Italy, I think, but it doesn't really look like it at all. Riding a Red Plane is a very, very, very good film, and I highly recommend it. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, I've watched to their completion. Breaking Bad, I think, 8 times, and Better Call Saul 3 times. I'm looking to go in for a 4th, though. The reason being, I don't, it's just like a show that I love to like have on in the background. Particularly, I'm a big fan of anything that involves just like, this is the gang, this is the partners in crime, this is the group, and both Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad are like peak when it comes to that, especially of like live action stuff. So I just could listen to Jesse and Walt engage in any conversation. My favorite episode of both of these is 4 Days Out, by the way. Just based on that description, you can probably imagine why. Gurren Lagann, as far as anime goes, it's the GOAT. I mean, like, obviously, there's Cowboy Bebop is also the GOAT. But yeah, Gurren Lagann is Toppen Gurren Lagann. Yes, they're both peak. They're just like, I've never had a show like feel like it's constantly raising the stakes and it not feel lame. Like a lot of shonen anime will try to raise the stakes through some means, right? And it is very rare when those stakes feel raised with like genuine purpose. Sometimes if they feel raised just for the sake of being like, you know, like Dragon Ball syndrome, where it's like, well, they got to be stronger than the last. But with Gurren Lagann, it's just it raises the stakes to cosmic levels because it's asking like a cosmic question almost, you know, and it answers it with a kind of like beautiful simplicity, and I love it so much. It's such a great show. It's so brave. And to contrast all of those, I put Ed and Eddie at the bottom here, because if there was any cartoon that perfectly defined my childhood and shaped my sense of humor to what I am now, it's Ed and Eddie. I adore Ed and Eddie. Tom and Jerry was a close second, but Ed and Eddie, it's just peak Cartoon Network show as far as I'm concerned. Anime adaptation when? Isn't that there's an anime that's already a lot like Breaking Bad, if I remember. I'm forgetting the name. It's not like Murder. It's called like Murderer. It's called something. I forget the name of it because I don't think I've ever actually watched it. But yeah, a Breaking Bad anime adaptation. I mean, only if they... I can't even think how that would go, honestly. Jesse, we have to make the beach episode. Oh man, Bryan Cranston. I want everyone to be dubbed except Bryan Cranston as well. I want him to only be the only one speaking in English. Dislikes. I hate sitting. I'm sitting right now, but only because I have no choice with the setup. I want to get like a standing desk or something, or at least like a piece of wood to put underneath my monitor and the camera and stuff, because I might just like go to like some like one of those places that just has wood lying around, just start making it myself, because I really don't like sitting for too long. It just hurts my bum. I hate gotcha. This might make me based or cringe depending on your perspective, but I think gotcha is a sin against God. Hello, Luis Perez. Sorry if I'm pronouncing anything wrong, by the way. Luis, how are you? Thank you for showing up. I was just talking about how much I hate gotcha. Gotcha. It's yeah. You know what it is? The only gotcha I've engaged with the most, I think, is probably the Kingdom Hearts one, Union Cross, because I mean, luckily I don't really get much like dopamine rush from number go up, so luckily it's pretty easy for me to avoid gotchas. But when I had to actually engage in one because I wanted my precious garbage Kingdom Hearts lore in mobile format, it was just I have no respect for the medium. Like Gacha Life. I'm not familiar. The only gotchas I'm familiar with nowadays are like the normie ones, like what's the ones my friends play, like Blue Archive, frickin', oh yeah, exactly, the credit card simulator. Nikkei is another one, the one with the fucking asses just visibly assaulting your face at the screen. I will say, I saw the my friend was showing me they made one for how am I forgetting Pascal for the Nier Automata crossover. That was funny that they add Pascal in there. That is hilarious. I do respect that. She also showed me one, my friend, where there's like a character in Nikkei who has a little pet frog, and the asses of the frog is the thing that shakes. That's hysterical. It's still a scam. So yeah, that's one of the things I hate. And I was really trying to find other things that I hate. I try to be more loving nowadays, so it was kind of hard for me to find something that I truly detest. Yeah, you know, that's how they get you, Lewis. They always have the good music. They always have the astounding design, because that's where all of like the effort and money goes into, because they want you to keep rolling for those JPEGs, you know? Anyway, speaking of rolling, the only other thing I could think of, I love eggs, but I don't like runny eggs. And I feel like this, I don't know if this is a cringe opinion, because I feel like everyone else I know thinks the exact opposite. They absolutely love like over easy eggs or runny eggs. I like my shit over hard, man. I like that to be like, not like hard as a rock or anything. It's gotta be soft. I mean, it's eggs, but I don't like runny yolks. it might play into what I'm about to get to later, that I had to end up eating a lot more egg whites than yolks. And that's because of my likes. So the likes relating to that is strength training. When I'm not streaming or playing games, I do like to, hit the gym. I'm not very strong. Well, I'm gonna give myself some credit. I'm a lot stronger than I used to be. Much stronger. I can bench like 210 or 220 actually. So I mean, I'm getting there. For a guy of my stature, that's pretty good. Okay, that's pretty good. Not kilos, pounds. I'm American. I mean, I'm Forestian. Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people like Runny. It's because you can dip stuff in it, and I do admit that is a advantage that I miss out on by not having my eggs runny. Anyway, so yeah, I like to go to the gym. I like playing party games with my friends. I hope to stream a lot of those in the future. Lethal Company. Yeah, exactly. Working out in the mountains. Lethal Company has been an incredible surprise. God bless that individual Roblox developer that made that game. Very fun. I've loved Mario Party to death. I'm a big fan of Fortune Street. In fact, it almost made it to my GOATs list that I'm about to showcase, because I've actually beaten the single player campaign for Fortune Street by myself without. Well, I did let the CPU do the job sometimes, but only when I was like busy and out and like. But you can't let the CPU do the job the entire time. So yeah, I really like party games. I love sweets. I like video editing. It's a little minor passion of mine, though I do need to get a new video editor because Sony Vegas 14 is a bit outdated. I should probably just finally switch to Resolve. I've used Resolve before, but or actually pay for a proper video editor like a modern Sony Vegas or something. But I love dogs. I have a pet dog. Her name is Chloe. You might hear her in the background sometimes. I might bring her on stream sometimes. I love looking at cultured art. You see, like, I'm a big fan of other VTubers as well. I watch other VTubers. I like Hololive. I like some girls from VSojo. I like Nishi Sanji. I like, all of the usuals, right? Particularly my Oshis are Marine Socho. Not Socho, Marine Sencho, excuse me. Fuwawa. Actually, I guess I do like Mokoko and Fuwawa. They're great. I love Bijou. I love Ceres Fauna. I'm a big fan of Korone, and particularly I have a little bit of a crush on Okayu. I find her just a soothing presence, Those ASMR videos she's done for me are not for me personally. That sounds so fucking weird. Done for her fans. They've gotten me through some tough times. So I should have put ASMR on here in general, honestly. But yeah, now that I've outed myself for my Okayu crush. Point is, I really like those VTubers, and sometimes if you follow my Twitter, I may end up liking some cultured art of those VTubers. I have no shame and nothing to apologize for. In fact, you should be thanking me. All right, but now for the real meat and potatoes here. What I really like is gaming. I love video games. They are a very, very core, important part of my existence. I have nothing but respect for the art form, and I want to make like a live creation of a 3x3 top 9 video games of all time. Now, there were some rules I had for this. I didn't want to pick more than one game from a series, which made this very difficult, might I add, because a lot of my favorite games, as I found out while making this, are from the same series. But like, yeah, that was a requirement. And I tried to like diversify the genres a little bit, but as I say in my bio, I'm a big action game guy. I love games about a little guy in a big world with a sword and he hits things. So with that in mind, I don't actually remember which game I added to the list first. Let me see here. So the first entry of the top 9 of my goated games, my 3x3 grid, is Devil May Cry 5. Devil May Cry 5. This game, I mean, if you've played it, you know, right? This game is so good. Nero is the GOAT. If I liked men, Nero would be my type. I highly recommend it if you've ever played an action game. Obviously, I recommend all of the Devil May Cry games. But like, well, not 2. Though I have 100%ed 2. That's how much I love Devil May Cry. Don't do that. It's terrible. But this game, it's a game I come back to over and over and over again, no matter how many times I've played it. 3 is also very good. If you like 3, you'll definitely like 5. They have a very similar like vibe. Like obviously they were written by the same guys, and so was 4, mind you. But like they both feel like the most like substantial in terms of like they both feel the most like personal, I think, while also having some interesting stakes. But like every level of 5, I mean, it's not like a perfect game. I wish the level design was a little bit better. And I wish V had a bit more tools, because he kind of gets overshadowed by Nero and Dante and Virgil, but in terms of like replayability. But man, if you're going to play any action game purely for the joy of just hitting something over and over again, with cool music and stuff like that, this is the game, man. I love this game. I will be playing it probably till I die, because who knows if they're ever going to make a 6 at this point. But I honestly don't blame them for not making a 6. It's hard to top this. It really is. Yeah, it's so good. So that's number 1. Let's go down the list here. There she is, my cringe Kino, my darling. I did it again. Good old Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix. This game, man, it's just too powerful. It's unfair, dare I say, this game, how good it is. It just sometimes you have a game that like you grow up with and you're like, man, it can't have been that good. There's so much stupid shit in it. There's so many cringy scenes in it. There's so much stuff to laugh at. But when you actually just go back, even as a 27-year-old man that I am now, and play Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, it is so much better than it has any right to deserve. It is so good. It is just so, I'm going to activate the flame because I'm feeling passionate about this. This game is just too good. It's too good. It has no right to be good, but it's the best game. It's like I get how you feel, man. It's like, where do I begin? So, firstly, it's an action RPG where you can play without leveling up at all, and you have just as satisfying, if not a more satisfying experience. A+. There need to be more games out there that make leveling more of like a dynamic player adjustable feature than an actual like static progression system, I think. Like think of something like God Hand, where like the game will level you up or level you down depending on how you get hit. This game allowing you to just say, hey, you can level up and gain skills, but we made all of like the best skills in the game just rewards for beating bosses. Hell yeah. That's how you do it. Like all the enemy design, like, oh my God. Like I love Kingdom Hearts 1 as well, but I think the game that plays the closest to this is probably 3. And I think that is the one with the big key. Yes. And I think what 3 gets wrong highlights why 2 is so good. And that's mainly enemy design, right? Like think of like an average interaction with an enemy in in 2 and compare it to 3. And like in 3, there are so many cases where like once you launch an enemy into the air, you can just keep comboing them, mashing X, and Sora will kind of like teleport over to where the enemy is because they have a very generous move assist system. And like you can kind of treat every enemy the same in Kingdom Hearts 3 unless there's like some like elemental restriction. Even like the big bodies, you can often hit through them, right? Which is like defeats the whole purpose of the big body if you can attack them from the front, in my opinion. But in Kingdom Hearts 2, not only do you have all the systems that worked from Kingdom Hearts 1 like well implemented again, you also have stuff with the reaction commands where like, hey, now if a big body has a bunch of new attacks, and if you react correctly when he's attacking, you get unique interactions specific to this enemy. And it's kind of like the Buster from Devil May Cry 4, but where every single interaction with the Buster is distinct to that enemy. But it's even more interesting because it integrates stuff like the command deck and like with the samurai and stuff like that. It's just, it's so good. And yes, the story treads a lot. It gets very dull, and it's definitely a game that when I do replay, I often find myself skipping some of the cutscenes because there's too many cutscenes for the Disney stuff with not enough happening. But whatever. Who cares? It feels so good to hit things in this game. And the music is peak. The final boss, entire final boss sequence and final world is peak. The opening is peak. I don't care if some people hate me or if my one friend hates me for saying that. I love the opening with Roxas. It's the best storytelling in the series, in my opinion. And yeah, exactly. It's very easy to play, even if you're not into the deeper stuff. But if you want to dive deeper, there's so much to find, and that's what makes it so good. It's such a good game. It's such a good game. It has no right to be good as it is. But we must move on. The 3x3 must continue. What's next on the list? Let's see here. If I could describe any game as pure, unadulterated Kino, it might be Shadow of the Colossus. Speaking of 2005 PS2 peak, we have yet another entry to the list. Man, remember Japan Studio? Anyway, I sure do, because they've made multiple of my favorite games of all time. And, bro, Shadow of the Colossus, like, if you ever listen to the soundtrack of Shadow of the Colossus, if you've ever seen just the gameplay of climbing the monsters in Shadow of the Colossus, like, you cannot replace that experience with anything else that exists to this day. I think there have not even been that many Shadow of the Colossus clones. There's been like, let me see here. If I had to think, there have been like, that one Castlevania game kind of tries to be a clone, right? But it's not the same. And like nothing will ever reach like the emotional, the emotions you feel when you kill a Colossus, this combination of extreme satisfaction, yet devastating pointless loss of life and dread is so good. It's not replicated anywhere in any other game. Team Ico, rest in pepperoni, dude. I will miss you for the rest of my life. I know they're off doing some other stuff right now. They're working on something with Epic Games, I think. I hope it's good. But Shadow of the Colossus, I don't know if it'll ever be topped. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, the PS2, the answer to your question, it could barely run that game. It barely ran on the PS2. If you play it nowadays, I definitely recommend an emulator or the PS3 version. The PS4 remake's fine too. I personally don't really like the way it looks in a lot of areas. I think there's too much vegetation and, you know, nitpicky, blah, 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 blah. But if you're not bothered by the changes made in the Demon Souls remake, you probably won't be bothered by the changes made in the Shadow of the Colossus remake by Bluepoint. So play this game. It's so good. There's no other game like it. Like the other two games, they're both action games. This game, I struggle to put Shadow of the Colossus as a genre because, yeah, it's an action game. You swing a sword in it, but it doesn't play like any other action game. It's just so good. That's how you do climbing Uncharted. All right, what's next? Yoko Taro Kino. This is Nier is kind of like a series where it kind of reminds me of Kingdom Hearts had worse gameplay but a better story you know, because they have like similar themes, particularly the first Nier game, in regards to replicants versus like, you know, nobodies. It's basically the same idea, right? But regardless of that, Nier Automata is another unreplaceable experience that, even if the combat isn't my favorite of any action game out there, I'd much rather play, like, say, what's a good example? Oh, this is hard to format correctly. I'm just gonna have to cut it, I think. I'd much rather play, like, pretty much not any other Platinum action game, actually. I'd much rather play, like, Bayonetta or, like, the other two games for their gameplay, right? But, I mean, come on. The story in this game, the stakes in this game, the writing in this game. Yoko Taro games are the only ones where I can play a side quest, aside for maybe one other game that I'll get to, and cry. Because the side quests are just, they hit so hard for, like, no reason. They're, like, so emotional, you know? Like, it's kind of insane. Like, shrink all of this a little bit. Hold on. Yoko Taro games, you know, they hit you in the feels in the way no other game does. They have a very, you can tell they're written by a guy that just, he's literally me, you know, so to say, or like he's just he's a guy that sits around thinking about very, like, sad truths about reality and tries to come out the other end at least somewhat optimistic about them, right? And that's what his games reflect, I think. So that's another entry into the top 9. Next, hell yeah. Again, this was very hard to pick for one game a series for. Here, I'll put on the scary face for talking about Resident Evil, right? Resident Evil is a series that I love. I've played almost every single game. I think the only game I haven't played from Resident Evil is Code Veronica? Yeah, I haven't played Code Veronica. Oh, I haven't played Zero either. I've played all the number ones, though, and I've played some of the spin-offs, like Revelations 1 and 2. And Resident Evil Remake is still the GOAT for me. I love the Resident Evil 2 remake and the Resident Evil 4 remake, don't get me wrong, but there's no other game that captures the mansion design in both the original game and the Resident Evil remake are just, it's peak. It's Kino. Traversing that mansion and trying to optimize your route and puzzles and optimizing your bullets and trying to get around the zombies. I'm a tank control apologist. It's just too good. I love the vibe of walking around that mansion. It's again, a common theme with all these games. They're experiences that I find that are irreplaceable. You can't get anything quite like them from anywhere else. And that's not entirely true for Resident Evil. Like Resident Evil 2, some would say is better, the original, in terms if you want like the top-down games, not the third-person games. Some would say Resident Evil 4 is a better game just because it's a better playing game. And I do agree with that. Resident Evil 4 is a fantastic, perfectly paced game, the original at least. Remake 2 for the most part. But you know what else it is, honestly, if I'm being perfectly honest, let's get all like this this rational shit out of the way. The real reason Resident Evil 1 is my favorite is because the story is hilarious. I need me a dumbass taking itself way too seriously, spooky, like, horror house story in my Resident Evil. And I need that bad voice acting. If you've never played the original PS1 version of Resident Evil, you are missing out on some of the greatest acting in this entire industry. First was 6. Wow. You know what? I believe that because 6 was one of the best-selling games in the series. So, like, I think it's just barely below 5. So, like, I could believe that. That's fair, honestly. I'm glad you got to play the rest of them, though, because I never finished 6, actually, now that I think about it. It was too bad. I did not like it. I did not like it at all. 6 was just too bad for me. But, did not enjoy it at all. But I might go back and beat it someday with, like, a co-op partner, maybe. But Resident Evil 1, like, the dialogue in that game, it's just so fucking funny. There's a moment... I mean, the moment everyone talks about is the Jill sandwich moment, right? But for me, the funniest moment in the entire series is when the guy is dying from poison after being bitten by this giant snake, and he goes, "I've been poisoned," and to which Jill responds, "Poisoned?" It's just pure comedy. I like the acting in that game, man. Oh, whoops! I'm trying to get rid of that. There you go. The acting in that game is an experience that you cannot replace. It's so good. So good. Oh, thank you, Element Stream Bot. And no, it automatically does that, I guess, over time. It has my name. I have to make a new account to change its name. I'm like, I'm not doing that. But I might have to do that at some point. Anyway, next game. This fucking game. I love this game. I love this game so much, man. I love this game so much. It's just too good. It's just too good. And let me tell you, this was a battle trying to figure out which Zelda game I wanted on this list. Do you know how many Zelda games I love? Almost all of them. Remember what I said at the beginning? I like games where you're a little guy in a big world with a sword. That's Zelda to a T. And Majora's Mask, it has it all for me, man. It has the writing, it has the atmosphere, it has the dungeons. I love the water dungeon in this game, the Ocean Temple. I don't care what Mr. Angry Video Game Nerd says, that dungeon is peak. A Stone Temple is peak, the music is peak. Running out of adjectives because I have internet brain rot, but you get the point. I love Majora's Mask so much. The side quests in that game, a side quest focus Zelda game, I think that captures something about the series that no other game really does, and that's not the world itself, but the people inside of it. The other game that comes closest to that is probably the other games. The director of this game has, actually no, the director was Aonuma. The writer of this game has worked on, which is the writer for Link's Awakening, and he wrote a little bit of Ocarina of Time anyway. He works at Nintendo still. He's the guy who demonstrated the Joy-Cons. I always forget his name. It's like Suzuka or something. No, it's Tezuka, I think. But he's the GOAT, and hasn't worked on a Zelda game in a long time, and I really wish he would, because he helped make the world feel so alive in these games. Like, I love Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. They're very great games, but the character dialogue in those games can feel really dry at times. And I think that's because they don't have the personality that was injected by the writer of Link's Awakening and Majora's Mask, right? And that helps make the world so much more enjoyable just to walk around it, you know? So Majora's Mask, as far as Zelda games go, is my favorite. This list will be filled with at least 3 other Zelda games if I wasn't limiting it to one game a series, but I love Majora's Mask so much, man. It's such a good game. Le Mask. All right, now we get into the only RPG on this list, I think, unless you count Zelda as an RPG, which some people do, I guess. Like a Dragon. Again, I love the entire Yakuza Like a Dragon Ryuga Gotoku series. I love all of those games. I've played all of them. I'm currently playing Lost Judgment on my Steam Deck right now. And a certain stream that I'm going to announce after this might have something to do with one of those games as well. But as far as, yes, Like a Dragon 7, or Yakuza Like a Dragon, as it's known as the West, is in fact an RPG. They did, like, because the main character is a big Dragon Quest nerd, they're trying to switch the main character from Kiryu to a new character, Ichiban. They made the entire game a turn-based RPG combat, and it's very cool because it still has the presentation and setting of a proper Yakuza game. But it's a turn-based RPG. It's a very unique RPG system. It's very fun. It's not perfect, and it's pretty easily broken, but it's very fun. And if you've never played a Yakuza game, it has all of the qualities still of a Yakuza game outside of its combat. A proper Yakuza game is usually a beat 'em up, right? Which obviously I'm also a fan of. Yakuza 0 almost beat out this game when I was picking up my favorite game from the series for this list. But Like a Dragon, it snuck out for one reason and one reason only, and not because it's an RPG necessarily. I actually prefer the beat 'em up style overall. But that's the reason is the characters. Like a Dragon has my favorite party in any RPG that I've played. This party of just a bunch of like old ass men and women just trying to figure out what they're going to do with their life that's already halfway over. It's peak. I keep saying that, I'm sorry, but it's true. It's so true every time. I love, it's so endearing to me, the main character in particular, Ichiban, this like starting from literally nothing and trying to find his place in the world despite not really having anything like seemingly to offer. Like his dream as a 40-year-old man is to be a hero, which he can't realize in the realistic setting of Like a Dragon. It's just modern day Japan. So he just goes around helping people and trying to solve, like, you know, do the things Kiryu would normally do. But he's so much more endearing about it. He's such a sweetheart. There's a scene that made me love this game so much where Ichiban is asking one of the new party members that you just got, one of the female leads. She's about to go home by herself after having like no one to go home to. And oh my gosh, he's just like, hey, we don't have much to offer. We're living in like literally an apartment that exists purely to hide like illegal immigrants in this country who have nowhere else to go. But you want to come hang out with us and play a game with us? And the way he says it, this 40-year-old man, the way he says it with those puppy dog eyes, just reaching out his hand to ask for a friend, and to be a friend to someone, it made me shed a tear. I don't know why. I don't know if the scene was supposed to do that, but it just really hit home for me. And that's the whole game for me. It's just so emotionally packed. It's so content packed. It's every single character. You're walking around, the characters just keep talking to you and saying goofy stuff. Exactly. The power of friendship. Power of friendship is unmatched in this game, man. It's so good. Very much recommend it. You better believe I'm playing Like a Dragon 8 day one on this stream. Nexto. This is the only multiplayer game, I think, on my list. At least, like, designed to be a multiplayer game, I should say. And that is Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Now I know. I started at World, like many, and that makes me a bit of a that invites gatekeeping, you know, by some people, and I get it. But what can I say? Monster Hunter World was the first Monster Hunter game that I played where I actually enjoyed being in the setting. Like, I've played Rise a lot too, and Rise does have better combat, and I've played Generations, and I've played 3 Try, and I've played 1 actually a decent amount. And I like all those games too. Even 1 with its weird analog stick controls. But World, like, despite its very stupid story, like, when you go on a hunt in World, you just take it all in, and it just feels so cool. Plus the memories I've had playing this with friends. I think it's my most played game on Steam still to this day. Just us listening to Eurobeat while grinding Nergigante. It's just an experience I can never replace. It was almost the same reason why Halo 3 got on this list, because I have a lot of early childhood memories of playing that with friends, and it definitely shaped me. But World, I think, is a game I would still go back to regularly right now. In fact, I'm playing on my Steam Deck a lot, and it's just too good. I cannot tell you how excited I am for Wild. The mainline team who makes those mainline Monster Hunter games, they know what they're doing. They're taking the series in a direction that I really, really like. It's such a good game. There's so many good monsters to fight. It's so fun to hang up, go out with friends. Just play FPS. Yeah, it's a whole other ball game, hunting monsters. But there's so many different ways to do it. And there's still a steep learning curve that's just so fun. You know, it's really fun to learn a monster in Monster Hunter. right? I mean, there are some monsters that kind of suck, right? Everyone's gonna have their preference, but there's so many monsters that it's like, okay, well, it's not that big of a deal. The only thing I hate about World is the post-game gem hunting system. I don't like having to grind for gems. Kind of sucks, but other than grinding, Monster Hunter World is like one of my probably my favorite like cooperative game, period. Favorite 3 monsters? Probably, I forget a lot of the names I'm really bad with, but what's like the final boss of Iceborne? Like the thing that like, it like comes out from the sand and it shoots like the lasers and stuff like that. I'm sorry, I'm so bad with the names because I like just restarted replaying it. But I love him a lot. The final boss of Iceborne is so good. The final this Iceborne campaign, I freaking love that thing. I'm a big fan of fuck the fucking names, like because like whenever I'm playing with my friend, this is a problem with me. I have really bad memory when it comes to names, so I always just describe them as like, oh, that puffy monster, or like, oh, the monster that summons the thunderbolts or the tornadoes, right? That's how I always describe them. Yeah, but I like Nergigante. I like him. I can never forget. I unfortunately I remember Zora Magdaros just because you fight him so many times and it kind of sucks, but he's not one of my favorite monsters. It's that the final boss of Iceborne. The final boss of the base game is actually really good too. Now I think about it, it's like, what's its name? Like G Nova something, J Nova something. He's really good. I really like Charlotte Ishvala. That one was a giant rock. Was that him? Yeah, I think that might have been. He starts off as a giant rock and he like sheds his skin after you get to like the next phase, I think, right? See, this is why I'm replaying. I forget everything now. But it was but yeah, I really like him, Nergigante, and I'm a big fan of fuck, what's that thing called? The like red reptile thing that where you get like the ninja gear from. He has the creepy eyes. Yes, I love him. Yeah, the red, yeah, like the red like lizard thing that you get like the ninja gear from. You had to play it for the Devil May Cry and the Mega Man event a lot to get certain gear. I really like fighting that guy. He's super cool. Oh, I also really like the jet engine monster that they added from Generations in one of the updates. The one that has like his tail is like a giant engine blade. That thing is so cool. I love fighting that thing. I like Pickle Man too. The Pickle Man, the giant pickle. He's great. It's a lot of good monsters. The vibe of Monster Hunter World though, it's the best. It's so good. All right, final game. I know I've been on this for a while. I'm sorry. I'll try to wrap it up. Ta-da! It was really hard to pick a Mario game. I gotta be honest. It was surprisingly harder to pick a Mario game than I thought it would be. I knew I wanted to pick one of the platformers, but I couldn't decide which one. Wonder was fresh on my mind, so I almost put that because I really enjoyed Wonder. It was probably honestly my favorite game that came out last year. But I had to think of which is the one that, like, if I want to play right now, I would be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna 100% that right now. Let's go. No fear. And I think that has to be Galaxy 2. Galaxy 2 is... I know a lot of people, and I get why a lot of people prefer Galaxy 1. It's got much better atmosphere. It's not as gamey. But the fact Galaxy 2 is so gamey is why I love Galaxy 2 so much. The levels in Galaxy 2, the replayability, the 100%ing process of Galaxy 2, it's a bit annoying, but like the final mission of Galaxy 2, so good. Plus, you still have the great music that you hear from Galaxy 1. You still have the fun visuals. You still have you have Yoshi now. You have all the Lumas and stuff like that. It's a very, very, very fun sequel that to me is more fun to replay, go back to than Galaxy 1, even if they're both like peak video games, you know? I understand. There is one critique I have of it, and that is that the control scheme isn't as advanced as something like Mario 64, right? And I completely understand why a lot of people still prefer Mario 64 to this day. Mario 64 is a goated game, or even something like Odyssey or heaven forbid Sunshine, you know? But for me, if there's any Mario game I want to replay, like, and I know I'm going to have a good time, like with every single level, it's definitely Galaxy 2. I love this game so much. It is my favorite Mario game, definitively. Oh yeah, Donkey Kong, Mario vs. Donkey Kong. I think there's a remake of that coming out for the Switch soon. So there you go. You've been served by Nintendo. Some service. All right, I think that might be the... Yeah, that's all of them. That's my top 9, my 3x3 grid of my top 9 video games, when excluding games that are from the same series. So, like, Link's Awakening might have also been on here, for example, if I was able to allow more Zelda games. At least 2 other Yakuza games probably would have been on here as well. The Kingdom Hearts 1 would have been on here. Nier Replicant probably would have been on here. A lot of the Resident Evil games would have been on here. But this is my taste. I hope it gives you an idea of the type of games you can expect me to play. This and a bunch of party games with my friends, of course. I like playing action games where you are with your buddies or by yourself with a big sword and you hit things. Or you're jumping over things. Or you're trying to survive zombies with a limited control scheme. I like cringe Kino, but I also like proper Kino. That's like the spectrum that you have with Devil May Cry. Like the top left over there, or the top row, really. Like, it's like the stories in all of these games are pretty, except for Galaxy 2. They take themselves pretty seriously, despite being kind of stupid sometimes. The only ones I would say probably don't have any form of stupidity to them are like Majora's Mask and Shadow of the Colossus. Nier Automata, it's tongue-in-cheek with its stupidity, so I don't even know if I'll count that. But I do like games about adventures, basically, of a character just going through it, you know? There's a plenty of other games that I know are like this that I want to definitely get to playing. So with that in mind, let me talk about the first game I'm going to stream tomorrow. But before that, I want to thank you all again for coming. This has been a much more smooth debut than I expected it to be. You all have been a pleasure to talk to. I hope everything sounded well and looked well. If there was any weird issues, please let me know. And I'll make sure to improve them for next time. I hope that you guys stick around for my next stream, which will be... Yeah, I've been saving myself from playing this so I could stream it, you know. I really am looking forward to playing this. I need to play it before 8 comes out, so I have like 10 days to finish it, so I'm gonna go hard on playing this game. This is the newest Like a Dragon game. It came out I think a couple months ago, or maybe a month ago even. It's a game that takes place after 6, but before 7, or into 7, basically. So I'm looking forward to see what Kiryu was up to during that time. I finished 6 not too long ago for the first time, so I know what happens in 6 now. And yes, I did beat 7 before 6. That's a whole story. I'll get into that when I stream this, I think. But the ending was great, but also kind of stupid, as is normally the case of Yakuza endings. So I'm looking forward to finding out what the heck. Why did this man erase his name? Oh man. So yeah, that'll be the next stream tomorrow at 8 p.m. EST. All right. Again, thank you all for coming so much. I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna drink some water. My throat is about to explode. And I look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow if you decide to show up. Again, thank you all for coming. Thank you again, Harukagi, for the follow, my precious parent creator who made this wonderful form for me. I'm gonna end actually on the let's see here, I'm going to end on the credits. Again, please go follow these people. They are so good. They are so good. They are so talented. Thank you guys so much for everything. I hope you have a great night. They are. They are. Oh, man. Thank you so much. Have a great one, everyone. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye, Jana.